A very good afternoon to you all. It's a long weekend that's coming up, and we thought we will give you a preview of what a potential long weekend can look like by talking about a draft subject of cybersecurity. I'm just kidding. I have an amazing story to tell. Uh, Before that, I just wanted to kind of talk about something. We all say that you can't have it all, but I have with me someone whose whose career spanned 20 years and seems to be having it all. He was on the dark side, as they say. He was on the delivery side and the consulting side. And then he figured out that there is a good side to come to. And after spending almost 16 years between delivery and consulting, decided to come and become a CISO and started with Care and then now with Zuno. Understands the subject in its entirety because he spanned coverages from operations, compliance, delivery, handling the regulator, and increasingly, because security now is a board conversation, working with the board to make these conversations relevant in the changing threat landscape. I'm talking about no other than Mrinmoy Jana.
Thank you,
A
sir.
pleasure knowing him. He's been CISO 100 award winner.
Yes, I put that here.
Yes, just put that tab, and rightly so, because wherever he's gone, he's really made an impact to those organizations as they looked at maturing their cybersecurity journey. So, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Pankit.
Thank you for joining us, and hope for the audience we'll have some good conversations.
Sure, definitely. And good evening to everyone.
So, let's start with the front and center problem of the day, which is mythos in Gujarati Mata ko dukhao, because it is also happened for everyone else. So mythos came up April 7th, and then after that, Daybreak and from OpenAI, then MDash and Google Gemini and DeepSeek, all of them seem to be claiming that they seem to have a lot of capabilities that could potentially be a challenge from a cyber risk perspective. Regulators reacted everywhere, including your regulator, IRDA, came up with a requirement to take an action taken report and for you to be able to respond within a very short frame of time.
Yes.
I'm sure you must have been following the whole mythos story.
Yeah.
I'm sure looking at what's happening and how well aware you are, you would have been working towards it. But how did you see this whole problem statement from your perspective, and how do you react to something that comes from a regulator point of view?
Thank you, Pankit, for starting with the bright bang in the question. And so, mythos is the talk of the time nowadays. It's a very much the buzzword. And as you rightly mentioned, the regulator is asking, even the financial minister is asking, MeitY is asking, everyone is asking what needs to be done. And as you rightly mentioned about the ATR, yes, action tracking report we have to send. So what we did means I'll talk means usually my first came to the picture. I'll just put a little background about it. So initially it was supposed to get the vulnerabilities detection tool and which came out and when the developers of the Mythos initially started, the capability has improved so much that it has able to predict the things which are long time no one has thought of, because it was giving us the 0-day attacks as well. Yes. Right? And some of the other things, if one example is all the mobile Android phones and other things which we think that it will never be there will be no loophole, no loopback, but they're able Mythos is able to found the vulnerabilities in that as well. Also, yeah, so that becomes so much of a panic. It created a panic actually, and then ultimately the OpenAI suggested that okay, let's not deal it for the public and we keep it for ourselves. Then all those things came up, and they really stopped the release. Then they put up the press conference, gave up the different things. Then we had a meeting, means in the insurance domain also we had a meeting with DSCI, Certain and other things, and everyone is talking about it. And then finally India is also onboarded. They're giving us some of the things, some of the organizations to go through those when we get a chance to run the industry. But majorly what I see is all the things are focusing on the basic needs to be done properly. So whatever, if you see the certain advisories as well, it is also talking about the cyber hygiene.
Yes.
So what our ATR report, what we submitted, is also based on the cyber hygiene itself. So what we do, our cyber hygiene patching, it is not rocket science, right? We do day in and day out. If you ask someone who is not done patching, right? Yeah. Everyone has to do patching, and it is a monthly cycle, or maybe you have to reduce the cycle, right? Reduce the frequency, increase the frequency more times. But how you do these type of things? So first thing is patching needs to be improved upon. It needs to be more continuous. Whatever we used to do annual basis or half yearly basis, probably we need to do it on continuous basis. True. That's what the best practices say. And the next one is more focused on identity. So how your identities are managing, how you're keeping your identities. If are you using a PAM, or are you using a bot like networks? If you see the today's news, the bots numbers are more than the human beings nowadays.
Yes.
So there are so many. Definitely we'll speak about the synthetic identities as well. So these are the few things, and how your architecture, are you believe in your zero trust architecture, yes, or not? So these are the few things which was asked in the report, and that was all things what we are doing in the day-to-day business. And the same thing we have responded back. Yes, we do have to do our due diligence, definitely. So my thoughts, I'll not say that it is a blessing in disguise, I will say, or maybe sometimes see the life of cybersecurity expert is more like the what you see, that means you are not able to see your advisory. Yes. You cannot use your tools because you cannot do the things, and you have all your restrictions. Yes. But the attacker don't have that restriction. True. He has to successful only once. And you have to successful every time. And your attack surface is also growing day by day.
I agree with you. You brought up the question of synthetic identities with deepfake and absolutely perfect social engineering attacks. How do you see the attack surface morphing? So on the one hand, you have these loopholes that are being exploited by the frontier AI models. But to exploit the loophole, you need to have access to the systems. And then identity becomes that perimeter that one has to breach to be able to access those systems. So let's say the whole mythos story about breaching the defenses of OpenBSD and finding those vulnerabilities and stitching together an attack pattern and exploits meant you needed to have access to that system. It did not happen in isolation. It was not that it was a system lying out in the open. Right. It was behind all the defenses.
Yes.
So you had to breach all the defenses and get there. But assuming for you to get there, one of the defenses you have to break is the identity.
Which is the easiest one.
Yeah. So with deepfake, with synthetic identity, how do you see this problem stemming, and how does the security industry respond to such kind of threats?
See, I'll take a step back. Usually nowadays, what people means, earlier in our things, people used to say you should enable the MFA and everything will work fine, right? So MFA means, okay, two-factor authentication. Yeah. Everyone was happy with two-factor authentication with the password and with the things. Then over the period of time, people evolved and they said, no, two-factor will not work. Now you have to do multi-factor authentication. So this type of dimensions, okay, let's go to the multi-factor authentication. So what you have, so person you are, someone what you have, that is a token, and what the passwords, yes, right? Then they say, okay, these three will also not suffice. Nowadays, now we have to move on to the behavior type of analytics. Yes. So now these three are anyway there. Then we have also go to the behavior type of attack. And now not only this behavior, now we have to know also where the user is. The geological tagging. Yes. So from which device he is trusted. So these are the combination of these 5 things. If we work on this combination, definitely the deepfakes and other things will be difficult to manage. Means I know the complement or doing the replication of either of these things becomes easier.
Yes.
But doing all the things consistently and repeatedly, it will become difficult. So in my version, I think if we concentrate on all the things of this, like if you have a trusted device, trusted user, and even if you do the KYC, right? We do a KYC.
Yes.
So KYC should not be a one-time process. It should be a continuous KYC. So I'll give an example also what our Desai is now doing. So they are trying to launch their new KYC 2.0. So in that, they wanted to have those type of users which is already certified as a they are already certified as their KYC. right? So if we are connecting with our API with them, and we know, okay, this user is already in their CISO list, then I don't have to do the KYC again, right? I save the time.
Save the time.
So that way, and I'm sure that that person is not, that person is genuine, not fake, right? So those are the few things which reduce the things. If, what I feel is these are the few things which we need to, and there is definitely an educating our users is also important, because this deep fake, whatever the synthetic images, video, so everything, whatever you see, you don't believe it, you validate it, verify it, and then respond accordingly, and do some due diligence.
Since you brought up this Sarsai and since you brought up KYC, I am assuming that as a general insurance company, you are a B2C company, you will see and handle a lot of data, right? The data needs to be processed through your systems, some maybe through your third parties that may be facilitating it. If you're doing auto insurance, then you will have someone who will take the photographs of the vehicle, the accident site. So you have the accident ecosystem that supports the entire business from being effective. The regulators are absolutely very strict about the data localization, residency. How do you ensure in the role that those parameters are being met? Because a lot of technologies that we consume today are cloud technologies. How do we know that they are able to authentically say that this is where my data is going to be and I will have access to it, and no other jurisdiction can stop me in having that access? So how, as a CISO, how are you managing that part?
So as you rightly mentioned, that data localization is the thing nowadays, and I will say that information is the new oil now. In our day-to-day business, in whatever the information, the narrative, whatever set, in the case of Operation Sindoor as well,
Yes.
I'll just give you an example. Even though we won the war and other things, but the narrative was not coming out clearly.
Yes.
So whether there's a ceasefire or no ceasefire, someone else is declaring whatever it is. So everyone knows the story, but whatever has happened is happened. But what is the learning out of it? So maybe you are superior, maybe what you did, but you are not did your narration properly. So, and if you are not able to narrate your story properly, then you will be always playing the catch up game.
Yes.
So in the same thing, earlier in the last few years back only, no one bothered about so much of data, right, nowadays. But people now, with the evolution, now the regulators are also coming up to the mark. RBI is mandated, SEBI has mandated, IRDA has mandated everything. Now DPDP Act has also come up, which is going live in the next year. So everyone is now aware of the data at least. So, and people are using, and they are so much nowadays people are know what data needs to be handled, maybe, and do the due diligence. So see, I will give an example. Sometimes some data, some clients data may be not relevant for, not so important for me, but it is important for them.
Yes.
Right? The person who is using the data, it should be having that level of due diligence and common sense of using what type of data he needs to put it somewhere, or what type of data he is sharing it to the other side. And and data localization, as you mentioned. So data localization, that's why government is putting a stress that our data should not go out.
Yes.
Because again, it is as I mentioned, it is a new oil.
Yes.
So if someone else is getting money out of our data,
yes,
selling our data to
yes,
somewhere else, and we get so many other calls. So how you maintain this type of things, and how you can see the data nowadays everyone is opening the data center in India.
Yes.
Because they want the business.
Yes.
They want the business is here, and if you have to do the business, you have to follow the law of the land.
Law of the land.
So law of the land they have to follow. So anyway, in India has started little late on DPDP perspective. I think all the Asian countries and GDPR and other things are already much more mature and much more ahead. But I think India is also catching up, and being a third largest economy in the world. So definitely we have a long way to go, but still we are catching up the things, and I'm sure the next few years will be a good.
Okay. So since you brought up this localization, this an adjacent element to it is sovereign infrastructure, right? So I know banks have really pushed very hard on having an on-prem or a sovereign infrastructure to make sure that the dependence on external technologies is not very high. What we saw with Mythos 5 or Fable 5 or what we saw with SAP Microsoft with Nyara, these are all wake-up calls in some ways where your dependency becomes your liability. Insurance kind of came late to the party as far as even the regulatory frameworks was concerned. First was RBI, then SEBI, then insurance. But I think it's done a phenomenal job of catching up. Any thoughts around sovereign capabilities that you think that the insurance industry should really focus on so that the capabilities are built in the country, managed in the country? Do you think about some of that?
Yes, definitely. It is not the we are looking for too far ahead, but ideally, as you mentioned, IRD is also catching up, and RBI is anyway setting the benchmark of within the country. So, and SEBI has also launched SEBI CSCRF.
Yes.
So everything is aligned, and we are going into that direction itself. And within our domain as well, in industry, and when we talk with our peers also, we are discussing about these things only, that if we can have the digital sovereign framework, which we can use it in our domain and industry structure, that will become much more easier. The task will become much more easier. How it will bring that whatever the basic cyber hygiene as we spoke about, whatever the basic level of controls we need to be put on, because see, in insurance industry is mostly B2C industry, right? So, and where we have so many data of the clients as well, and it is not only we securing our home, we are also interacting with multiple vendors as well, agents, brokers, and so many other things. So my home is clean and foolproof. I'm not sure, because I'm integrating with other third party service providers, and I'm not sure whether he's also having that basic level of controls in place on place. And I will always run into that assumption, that trust deficit will be there. Now with the latest example of yesterday or 2 days back only, that Tata electronics have become breached, right? Bajaj Auto also got breached recently. So these type of supply chain attacks are also getting, and some or the other day your number will also come. So we are not 100% secure. I'll not say that I'm 100% secure whatever I'm doing or whatever I'm not doing. But how soon you become a resilient, that comes with that. So definitely the digital sovereignty framework is important for insurance sector as well, and we are in the process of discussing those things internally whenever we have common things. And if it comes into that picture, and certain, and IRDA is making an effort to do that, then definitely it will help in a long run.
So we'll pick up on that topic about supply chain attacks. I look at it from two lenses. One is security by its nature creates friction in the company, right? Because you are the people who will say no. Always. You can't do this, you can't do that, this is bad, this is going to be risky.
You're the bad guys.
You're the bad guy. So you create friction. On the other hand, there is a business that wants to fly. They want to be out there because they're competing in the market. So if you are the most secure company and the most friction company, but if you're not able to do business, then it kind of doesn't align well. So my part one of the question is, as a CISO, how do you balance both these sides? And attached to that second question, the same question, is that a lot of those capabilities are today offered as platforms by your third-party providers. And because you can't build everything on your own, right? So I'm assuming that for you, the people who take surveys and who go out in the field, those may be outsourced providers that you work with most likely. You may be using some other technology to upload the images and so on and so forth. If you have health insurance, then you will have someone that will be doing the medical tests and that activities. So there will be those different capabilities. KYC platforms are different. So my second question is that security is as good as your weakest link. So help me understand the friction part of it, and then attached to it, because business wants these capabilities. You don't want to build it. You will take it from outside. The supply chain risk part of it. So two sides of the same coin.
Okay. So I'll respond to your first one. Yes. So security persons are usually bad guys, and but I think it is take it in different perspective usually, because you heard the concept of security by design, right? And now added to DPDP, the privacy by default. right? So these two concept is by default is required nowadays: security by design and privacy by default. So whatever our the legacy systems are there, definitely that will have some gaps implementing these things, but let's forget the legacy part, keep it aside. But other thing, if we talk about the normal things, the innovation part, the team wants to do some innovation and it is not happening. So they now what they are everyone is doing is they are involving security team right from the start, right from the planning phase. Earlier, everything is done, and then security used to give a go ahead whether it will go and not go, or maybe after one assessment or after one VAPT or whatever is the assessment of the code, and then you go to the security gate and say, okay, everything is done. Now you have to say tick mark activity. But now everything is shift left. So
it's like the Bollywood movie where the cops come the last.
cops come the last. So the कानून के हाथ लंबे होते हैं. So that's what it is. So what we are doing here is we have to start with the early as planning phase, and we know, and each checkpoint, and now it is not a waterfall model nowadays. Yeah. Everyone is agile. Yes. So they want to innovate fast, and security is also not a road blocker, not an obstacle. They also want business to grow and do well. So now security also become a part of the journey.
Yes.
That becomes much more easier, and that since you are involved in right from the start, it develops a trust as well.
Yes.
So that trusted innovation will help to have that. It will not create that friction which was supposed to happen at the later point of time. If you start from the early, have the oiling much before, be an agile process. Whatever is happening, let it run of its own and do it out, gives its output, measure it. If it is doing if the output is satisfactory, then okay, otherwise give the feedback to the input, right? That's the same thing you do. And security is balancing in every way. So right from the first, wherever is required, it is done from the start. So there is no friction. There is a trusted innovation, and it becomes much more faster as well. So how you do all these type of things? So that is the first part of question. So answer the security by design and privacy by default. Okay. The second part is question of
supply chain attacks.
Supply chain attacks. Okay. So I touched upon very briefly about on those things. Since we are a B2C or any company, we have our brokers, agents, third parties, and we have our things in cloud as well. So whatever you do, your hosting, you are touching, working with the third party service providers. So what you need to do is like a firewall. The firewall, what is the default thing? So it is deny, right? The deny mode of firewall is always a deny. By default, it is deny. So similarly, if you want to integrate any of your third-party service provider, don't integrate directly with your network. You give an API connection. Create your secure API gateway. Right. If you have your API gateway secured and give your connection only to the API connectivity, only to the third parties, then it becomes much more, the risk is become much more reduced. That is one part of the technical side. But from the contract perspective also, you can bind them, because now you are not the only one who is working on your home, as I mentioned earlier as well. So it is a complete ecosystem. So if the complete ecosystem is not secure enough, you will be always liable for such type of attacks, which I spoke about earlier. So to maintain the balance between the complete ecosystem, whatever the controls you are following, you should ensure your service provider partners are also providing the basic level of controls and checks, so that you can enable through your normal interaction as well, and that you can enable through your contracts as well. Whatever you can always draft a contract with your so-and-so basic level of cyber hygiene should be there, basic level of reports, third-party audited reports should be there, SOC 2 certification should be provided. Nowadays, what Mythos and other things came up, so we are also asking our service provider OEMs to give us a recertification of the SOC 2 report, right? They should provide us the recertification of SOC 2 report, where they can always say that yes, Mythos type of attacks are not there in that. So that gives you the assurity. So that transparency should be there. So whatever this ecosystem completely individual will not suffice. Everyone will have to collaborate together, and the supply chain attack will not happen in day one or day two. And with the good companies, it is happening. So whatever it happens, you should be resilient enough to come across, and how soon you become detected and recover from it. So definitely we'll speak more about that in the later part probably.
So, one of the requirements that the regulators have, and I know also IRDA has, is that along with the IT community, you should also have an IT risk management committee. Um, this means that at a board level, uh, insurance is a risk business. You do probabilization, you do risk management to be able to ensure that at the end the premiums you collect are not more than what, or are not less than what you end up paying, right? So you understand the risk profile, right? But the lens is now also taking cyber into account, which means this has now become a board conversation, and it's a quarterly board conversation. When you go and speak to board, uh, I know the board will not understand the three-letter acronyms that we are known to in the industry, complicated words that we use. How do you handle the board conversations? How do you speak about, or how do you rather give them comfort saying that we are better than last time, or we are compliant to the regulation, or whatever that might be?
Nowadays, since the CISO is no longer become a control function nowadays,
Yes.
means it is a control function overall, but still they now it is slowly evolving more from the business perspective. So it is a business enabler. Cybersecurity became a business enabler. So how the cybersecurity helps in the board conversation is, if you tag every output of the cyber security and tag it to the revenue. And if you are able to tag those things, like give an example, if I say I have no downtime, there is zero downtime, so it helped my business that I to give more to sell more products or sell
Yes.
more
Policies,
policies,
yes.
and that increases my revenue, because over the period of time in last 1 year I have seen zero downtime. Whatever technology I have, maybe I have moved to cloud, maybe I have redundant servers, or whatever it is, whatever so I have helped my operations team to sell more with zero downtime. Second thing, if I say last 1 year I have zero breach, so zero breach will give the confidence to my customer as well, that this company or this organization is a zero, didn't had the breach in last 1 year, and we should follow this company, or they are following some good practices,
We should
which
work with them.
we should work with them. And next is the as I spoke about the resilience part as well, the business continuity. So business continuity and resilience became the key factor in gaining the trust of the customer and also the stakeholders and the boardroom, even the what are board members. So if I able to demonstrate those things to my board members, that even if we are attacked, and how soon we are able to recover from those things without much impact on my business, then they will be happy.
Yeah.
So that creates that assurity, and that creates that transparency as well, how good you are doing the business, and how good you are in cybersecurity, and how your business is running in that way.
Two, two points I wanted to cover. One is this whole phenomena of vibe coding, right? So you use AI to generate code, right? And it obviously is giving you enormous amounts of productivity gain. But which also means that you are not likely to follow the stringent processes that you had early on, or the standard way of doing stuff, like you had your either a waterfall model or your agile or sprints that you used to have, right? But which had various stages, various gating, including the security gating. Now that creates a potential challenge in terms of being able to insert security, because I don't know how much transparency is given by the model when you do white coding. So you really do not understand what was taken into. So one is that conversation. So again, kind of going back to the friction part of it, because it is the business will go on saying that I cannot wait for 3 months to release a product. CTO's team or CIO's team or the CDO's team, please go ahead and release this code in 1 week's time because AI can do it. Mrinmoy said, no, I want to check this, shift left, shift. There's no left because by the time you design the product is done, right? So there's no shift left. You can barely stand where you are. So that is one part of the problem. The second is this whole concept of AI agents, right? And you spoke about today, there are more agents than people, right? And They're doing a phenomenal work in giving productivity gains to market. I want your thought around the whole life cycle of an agent. So when there is a human agent, you join the organization, you get the access, you get promoted, transferred, you change the access, you leave the company, you terminate the access, you monitor it, something goes wrong, you can hold that human accountable to it.
But
In
with
case
the
of an
bot,
age bot, what will you do? You will just release a version 2, right? So give me both perspective, the vibe coding AI
And vibe coding.
impact to security and the agentic AI.
So let me answer the first part is the white coding part. Yes, with that AI, too much AI usage, the honest people are getting the codes from the AI. But what people don't understand is mm, uh, whatever the code, whatever the output the AI is generating, they are just blindly copy pasting it.
Yes.
So ideally, in my view, they should not do the blind copy paste. Whatever the code is given, you should validate whether that code is doing that work properly or not, and use your common sense to that. If you're not able to understand whatever, if you want to write a code of I want to go to school or whatever it is, and if write a 100-line code, and the 100-line code, he's optimized it to half of that 50 lines code, and the 50-line code you said, oh, it is optimized and my work is done. But that is not the true, because he is not validated the code.
Yes.
So developer needs to validate the code, because see, we put all the controls, will check, but if it is checked right at the time of doing the coding, that becomes much more easier to solve the things. And the developer needs to understand the thing what he is copy pasting, because nowadays with uh, AI, it is generating the code in a much faster way, and it is also generating the vulnerabilities also very faster way.
Yes.
So some of the vulnerabilities which is never been discussed is also generated by the code in a million way time. So ideally, a person, in that case, the H bomb or AI bomb comes into the picture.
Yes.
If I say what type of codes you are putting it, if you know what type of libraries are using it, and can we run an AI bomb against it, and if you know the bill of materials about all these things, then we are sure about, okay, if it is breaching any other compliances issues or not, if it is some malicious IPs or malicious libraries or not, or is there any backdoor entry or whatever it is there or not. So if those things are checked, then you do the I will not say copy paste again, because you did your triaging things, or you did your analysis. So that is the one part of it. The other part of it is
Agentic AI.
agentic AI. So agentic AI is also, as I touched upon the AI bomb and other things. So similarly, we have the software bill of materials, AI bill of materials, crypto bill of materials. So all these bill of materials are important nowadays, because whatever the codes we are using now on in agentic things, because the efficiency of each of these things are also changing very dynamically. Even though you run your secure coding practice or SAST or dashed against it, but since the, as you mentioned, the model is changing, the upgrades are changing very fast or very dynamic in nature. So you have to keep on checking your bombs at I'll not at real time basis, rather than on quarterly or half yearly, because by the time it model become obsolete.
No, so in agentic AI, my question was slightly different. My question was, you have a life cycle with a human agent.
Okay.
Right? So based on the role and responsibility, you give them access. Now you created an AI agent that is doing kind of humans work. And if the number of this AI agents is going to be dramatically higher, think about it 5 years from now, you may have deployed tens of thousands of agents. How will you know which agent is still relevant, not relevant? How will you know an agent has gone rogue or not rogue?
Not yes.
Right? So there is no way, or I don't know, there is a way, I don't know. But I'm just saying, are you thinking about it as, because people are proudly speaking on public forums, say that, hey, we are launching hundreds of AI agents and our productivity is improved. I am not seeing any commensurate conversation around the risk that one will see over a period of time as the number of AI agents proliferate, and with no control over understanding what that AI agent is supposed to do. And there was this whole case that I read an article where an AI agent, I don't know which company it was, it went and deleted the entire code base.
Yeah. I read that.
So, and this is in spite of giving the instruction to the agent that do not delete 4 or 5 times, and still went ahead and deleted it. But this was at least someone monitoring it. But think about it, it was, let's say, built 5 years back, and we are sitting in 2031. What
People
happens
change.
then?
People also change.
Yes.
So what there is one more concept of this is we spoke about the shift left, but there is one thing is shift deeper as well. So people know about the shift left, but they don't do the deep dive of it. So they should do the deep dive as well while using the AI things. AI, whatever the LLMs nowadays, even the regulators have also been asking. If you are generating the code through an AI, you have to disclose those things. So you have to give the so it is AI. Even last time, if you heard about the Big Four, some of the Big Four, they have generated a report through an AI, and that the client has sued them as
Yes.
well, right? So these are the few things which, see, it makes the work easier, but you should know what you are copy pasting and what the AI is generating. Maybe it is generating in a much more sophisticated way, but you are not sure whether you should be validating those things. So trust becomes the important thing,
Yes.
as I mentioned, and you need to have a deeper knowledge. It will not work on the just a flashy point of doing the things in 5 minutes and finish it off. It will not work in that way. And regarding, you also mentioned about the life cycle of the things. Definitely that is a big problem to have the bots, and whether over the period of time how it become wrong and how it will become how it will behave. So those guardrails, keep on reviewing those guardrails at every point of time. Periodically, I'll say periodically, still it should be on a real time basis, because periodically will not work here.
It'll probably be too late.
It will not go too late. So it will be on real time basis, and see how the things are working, and then we take it from there on. So how your guardrails? So guardrails, maybe I'll take an example. If I have some controls now, that control may not be working. Effectiveness of that control maybe 5 days down the line is not there.
It's not there. I agree with you.
So that you have to again iterate your use cases to make that control again working, so that it gives that optimum value what you are looking for. Otherwise you're trying. Nowadays the use case creation is also come down.
Yes.
So in our SOC, the agentic AI SOC, now we are not checking based on the signatures, right? We are doing more on the behavioral type of attack patterns. So these are type of attack patterns needs to be analyzed, and AI is the better way to do the analysis in a better way, how the behavior and other things, and use AI versus AI. Definitely we have that topic as well, the AI versus AI. People are now talking about the AI for defense and AI for attack. Right. But I'm from the defense side, so I'll always speak from the defense and be optimistic that everything is stoppable. Yeah. But there is other side as well, which is quite difficult to manage, and depending on how the person wants to have those things in place. Yeah.
So, one of the things that worries people, and right now I know DBTP is not yet out in the open, but it will be in a short period of time. One worry that people have is that internal data, and because you have shadow AI now, you had shadow IT, now you have shadow AI. People have ChatGPT is free, Claude is free. I mean, obviously you've got the freemium versions of it, and in the zeal to improve productivity, let's say I want to draft an email response and I'm very lazy, I don't want to draft it. I will take the content, paste it to ChatGPT and say, okay, draft me a response, right? Which means is that your data now is going out on public forum, right? And it could potentially become a DPTP violation, right? How do you take care of scenarios like that? How do you handle the board's concerns around this? Because these are also tools that the business needs to become productive. So what's your thoughts around it?
So first of all, yes, we do have this type of scenarios as well. And we what we do here is we use the enterprise version of the tool, and we have the tool, whatever the prompts are given, it is based on my tenants itself. I'm not sending it to outside. So I'll have the OEMs in my tenant, and using, if you use Copilot, you use it in your tenant with M365. So you can use that way. And if you use Gemini or any other, or AWS Bedrock as well, the enterprise version of the tool. So whatever you use the enterprise version of the tool, you can use those things in your own tenant and restrict those things and have the DLP properly configured and see how the people are. Initially, you can keep it only on monitoring mode, not on blocking mode. You want to make your people also aware. They should also not feel like we are watching you every time. So you give that freedom to work on those few of the things, but you make them aware that what you are doing, we are watching it, and you make them aware as well. So it is a continuous process. See, I have to always see from the user perspective. I have to be a user friendly company as well.
Absolutely.
Yes, so I should not always say stop, right? So I should give them the leverage of what supposed to be going in and what not supposed to be going in. So I'll see the monitoring mode first. So once I see, okay, which is supposed to be going in, because everything is in my tenant, I'm not allowing it to go outside. Those things need to be out. I can create a lab as well, AI lab, and I can create a policies of AI risk management framework, and that risk management framework will cover what all things I am using in my organization, what all things, how those AIs will perform. Am I reviewing the output of those AI? I'm reviewing my DLP incidents, whatever is created. Am I giving feedback to my users based on the DLP incidents it is creating, and the user is getting trained about it, so that he should not report those type of incidents again, repeat those type of incidents again and again. I can make him or his reporting manager also make him aware that way also. So complete ecosystem, if everyone is aware of what they are doing, and what their contribution towards the goal of the organization to do the business, if everyone is understand those type of things. Because in my earlier days, people, when we used to code or when we used to do some delivery projects, I was doing only 5% of some project, and which I was not sure whether it is giving any value or not. Because the project manager knows what he's doing or where that part will fit into. So that visibility, and that if that small person, analyst, knows about that visibility, that my work is going to impact that work, then he will be much more due diligent. Otherwise, if he's just working 9 to 5 randomly, and then he will not so much accountable. So you have to be accountable on those things, make your work much more easier, and then you see how the things work. And over the period of time, whatever the AI you use, whatever the things you use, you will be using it in a better way rather than in a rogue way.
So you have been on public forums talking about security being a strategic enabler. That's the word that you keep using it. I haven't seen people use it though, so I'm glad to hear that. And that means that you are thinking from a business lens. Every time there is a opportunity or a risk, you are wearing a business angle to react to it. In practical terms, what does it mean? So if I'm a aspiring CISO, what should that mean to me in terms of either building the skills, in terms of understanding the business, in terms of being able to create capabilities that get me to that level? So just help upcoming CISO get to that line, please.
So I will say it is not one way to go. It is a combination of all the three things.
Sure.
Definitely, if you, I'll say the coaching and mentoring goes a long way. Definitely, so you need to have a right coach and right mentor to choose from, and how they work and how your daily things, and you get an inspiration from your coach and mentor, right? So you develop your competency against it. The second part is how you mentioned about you create your own things, and a group of people with the same or you talk about the same language. The CISO should also talk about the business language, not only the technical terms. So it will always be a boardroom conversation will become much more easier if you talk in the business language rather than a cyber security language. So and nowadays everyone understands cyber security. So now board also understands cyber security, most of the terms and everything. But still, let's not complicate the terminology, but use the business language in a better way. That will help you to gel with the board.
True.
And create your awareness, create your what is means post
Perspective
perspective
yeah,
to the board,
board.
and definitely everything goes with the budget, right?
Yeah, obviously.
So and the cybersecurity being an enabler or being a cost center, so we always say we are not a cost center. We are initially IT was also a cost center, but
Yes.
now IT became an enabler.
True.
So cybersecurity also became an enabler. It is not a cost center anymore.
True.
And with the AI, people say AI. I will always say AI is not artificial intelligence. It is an authentic information.
Very nice. I like that word.
So AI should be an authentic information. You should not forward your fake news. You should not forward your unnecessary WhatsApp university things,
Yes.
unnecessary without validating. So trust becomes the important thing. Trust, transparency, and resiliency. These are the three things which I believe will take you a long way, rather than if you want to become an aspiring CISO over the period of time.
I just wanted to add a rejoinder here. Way back when I started my journey in the security space, this is 2013. Before that, I had never done security in my life. So, and India wasn't then a very security aware market, other than even the Gopal Krishna guidelines for banks came in 2011, and even the large banks were doing. Otherwise, security was.
Our IT Act was 2010. It was last years.
So I used to use this conversation with the boards then. He said, the way I look at security is, I should give an analogy saying that, and I'll ask this question rather, saying, what is the function of the brake in the car? Right? And most of them will say, yeah, it's supposed to stop the car, go the car slow, get the car to go slow. And I would say that, you know what? Think about a car without a brake. At what speed will you drive the car? Mostly very slow. Because you're afraid of banging the car somewhere. It is the brake that gives you the opportunity to drive as fast as you want. Yes. And to me, cybersecurity is that brake. Yes. Because if you want to do a digital transformation without the security guardrails, most likely you may be going in the wrong direction, mostly down. Because it doesn't take much for something to break. If it's so security keeps you honest, and I think that's the language that you speak, so which I like it. So one last question, because it's your business, I thought I'd ask. You are in general insurance, cyber risk insurance, what you offer. I have still not found many takers when I look at my customers, other than the ones that are regulated by the regulator to buy cyber risk insurance. Most don't think about it. What's your perspective, and how do we drive that awareness that is an important element of how to mitigate risk?
You touched a very important topic. I think insurance is one of the important things. Cyber insurance is one of the important things, and I think many people are not aware of these things, and don't take cyber insurance as a first line of defense. So taking an insurance will not help you. It will always be a cover your residual risk.
Yes.
And transfer your risk. So how you transfer your risk? See, if you take an insurance and if your controls are very poor, your premium, you have to pay a very heavy premium.
Yes.
Right. And alternatively, vis-a-vis, if you have a very good controls in place, and your market value is also very good, because everyone is evaluating you, right? And insurer, the creditor are also evaluating you, the stakeholders are evaluating you, and if your reports are also coming good in that way, then your premiums are less, and you have your cyber insurance in that way. So cyber insurance, definitely one has to take it, but not at the cost of controls. Yes. So it should be your last thing to transfer your risk in a better way to mitigate whatever your residual risk you have not worked upon. So it should be not act as a cyber shield. It should be act as a backstop, as a shock absorber. So you should not fall directly. It should be a shock absorber. So and I think this word cyber insurance, last 2 years only it came into the picture. So I'll give you one more example about this, that all the regulators have asked, any breach happens, you have to report it within 6 hours. Yes. Right? So no one tells you about it. Who will going to help you in those first 6 hours? You need to have those people also handy. Yes. That if something happens, my incident response playbook, my war room, or whatever, the if I have to do the forensics, those things needs to be onboarded as soon as possible, right? I should not waste an hour there to go run around and do the things, looking out for things. So the first 6 hours is the my timeline. If I have to report if any breaches happen or not happen, that is a different story, whether I have to report or not report. So these are the, this conversation will go long and long. So but for cyber insurance, in a way, it should be not act as a shield, it should be as a shock absorber. You should do your protect, detect, recover, respond, and transfer is the last. So transfer is the insurance which you take for your covering your residual risk.
So great, thank you so much. We are 45 minutes, we are slightly over time, but I really enjoyed the conversation. And as you can see, there are very few CISOs who can very easily go between a business to tech to security, and that's the language I think we have to all speak.
Yes.
At the end, security is one of the elements of risk that a business faces. You know, your product risk, your market risk, your people risk. Cyber risk is one of the other elements. And if we see it in that context, your language will change from a three-letter acronym security technical problem to a business risk. And today, a lot of business continuity issues stem from cyber risk. So, and therefore, and in a tech-enabled world, if you have a breach or you have a business continuity issue, you have a business that will actually suffer.
Yes.
So I really love that concept. I love the articulation of how you look at it.
Even you can also add to that a risk score, cyber security score. Nowadays, these are the much more important.
Yes.
Like everyone, for if you have want to go for taking a loan, you see your CIBIL score.
Yes.
But if you want to give the business to any third party, you see their risk score at least. So then only you ask them to integrate with your environment.
I agree. So great point. So thank you so much again, audience, for giving your time and attention. It's a pleasure interacting, and I believe it's a long weekend. So have a good long weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you everyone. Thank you.